marriage is a picture of something greater. It's not just about you, but it impacts your children, your children's children. It impacts everyone around you. And it's a picture of God's relationship with you and I. That's what it's a picture of. This thing called life is a classroom of learning how to love, isn't it? But marriage is a lifelong course on learning to be unselfish. And what'd you say yeah for? Is there a problem over there? Okay. So you're not supposed to be agreeing with some of this stuff, honey. It's a lesson of being other-minded. A lifelong lesson. Proverbs 18 says, it's selfish and stupid to think only of yourself. When you think about it, those of us that are married, every single day we get hundreds and hundreds of opportunities to think of someone other than ourselves, to do something for someone other than ourselves. Paul said in Romans 12, he said, love from the center of who you are and don't fake it. Run for dear life from evil. Hold on for dear life to good. Be good friends who love deeply. Practice playing second fiddle. When you're married, you can't afford to be selfish. You know, there's for our wives, gentlemen, they're the greatest need for our wives, their greatest desire, the thing that they long for the most in life, in their marriage, is number one, to feel like they're priority to you. And number two, that there's safety in that marriage, in that relationship, emotional safety. Now, I'm not talking about physical necessarily, but that's a big part of it. But emotional safety, that your wives should be able to tell you how they're feeling and not fear that. That's what their greatest desire is. A man's greatest desire in the marriage is to be honored and respected. And so this is what happens. This is what happens typically. So, and I think it starts with us as the high priest of the home. I always put it in our corner. We set the tone. We set the environment. We set the culture of our marriage. So when a man, by his actions, not necessarily words, but that could be part of it, but his actions especially, is conveying to his wife that she's not priority to him. She's not first priority. And that the relationship's not safe. She can't share her heart. She can't be herself. Then how in the world can our wives honor and respect us and show that? They can't. And then you get this vicious cycle that takes place, don't you? And at some point, someone has to say, okay, this needs to stop. And I want to encourage you men that are husbands here, if there's distance emotionally and relationally with your spouse, I want to encourage you to start to convey to your spouse, and don't just tell her, but show her that she's number one in your life other than God, and number two, that she could tell you anything that she's struggling with and it's safe. It will be easy for her then to honor you and show you respect. It starts with someone. And that's the reality of it. This thing called love has a language to it. And love takes on, when you put the other person before you, it takes on, you start to see what it looks like. So for instance, love looks like doing the dishes. And love does the laundry. If you're a guy, just check with your wife before you do it, because like me, to me it doesn't make any sense. If you've got all this money in this washing machine, you should be able to put every piece of clothes in there and it should come out beautiful. But what happens in my case is everything comes out with this beautiful purple gray look, everything. And then then it's not good. So check with your wife before you show that kind of love. But love, maybe irons clothes. I know, like, guys, have you ever been like, at home and your wife's doing laundry and ironing and doing the dishes? You ever just think, man, she's showing me so much love by doing that? Or, yeah, okay. I just want to say something about ironing too. Okay, our modern ironing boards are designed for men's clothes. You can iron a pair of slacks and a shirt and it fits. But men, have you ever tried to iron a blouse from your wife? How difficult that is? How do you iron something that looks like that? And it's just terrible. I get so frustrated trying to iron these clothes. And so, again, check with your wife. She'll show you how to do it. But love is ironing and helping her out. Love can look like when you're old, you're elderly, and your health starts to give out. And love is changing the bedpan for your spouse when they can't do it themselves. Love is hanging in there during tough times when everyone's telling you to run and you made a commitment and you're going to honor that commitment. You might not feel the emotion of love at that moment, but you know that before God you made a commitment. You made a commitment to that spouse that you're going to stick with it. That's love. And you see, love takes on a lot of different languages and a lot of different things. Our world tells us is that you deserve to be happy, so you marry to be happy. But what happens when you wake up one day and you no longer feel happy? What happens? The world says, well, if you're not happy, you can throw that marriage away and you can find a new, improved marriage and be happy. That's what the world says. But do you know that God never intended marriage to make us happy? God intended marriage to make us holy. And this is the thing. What am I talking about being holy? I'm talking about being more like God. And so when you pursue righteousness and you pursue going after God in every area of your life, you become more holy and you learn to love like God. You learn to be more generous. You learn to be more loving and more sharing and more mature and more unselfish or less selfish, however way you want to say it. You learn all those things. And you know what the kicker is? The more holy you become, the more happy you become. But happiness was never meant to be the goal because it's fleeting. Happiness is so elusive. I can be happy about one thing one day, and the next day I'm not happy about that anymore. So happiness was never meant to be the goal. It's a byproduct of holiness. Marriage makes us more like God, believe it or not.